Yeah, so a number of states are pretty much in the path of this, and there's a whole lot of moisture that's going to continue to move eastward. So let's first talk about what's going to be happening in Lexington, Kentucky. So many of you are going to see a pretty warm day across the area, and that warm, unstable air is what's going to lead to some of those thunderstorms developing, especially by this afternoon. You're going to top out in the upper 70s today, and those storms are pretty much going to continue. So that low is going to shift eastward. So those of you in Indiana as well as Ohio are going to feel the might of this system, and it's going to continue to be warm as well. Some of that Gulf moisture is pretty much going to be pulled up there, and that's part of the reason why you're going to see the temperature really rise. And then because of all of that warm air and cold air, when they get together, they get unstable. They're basically fighting for supremacy, and that's part of the reason why you're going to see some storms fire off as well. So from Louisville into Lexington, Cincinnati, as well as Columbus, Athens, Ohio, extending even into Steel City are all places where we could see some damaging winds. I mean, we were talking about winds potentially gusting up into the 50s for today. We will likely end up seeing some power outages with these storms as they roll through. So now is the time that you want to charge up your cell phones. If you have any spare batteries, you'll want to locate them because we are anticipating some power outages across the Buckeye State. So here we go. This is 12 o'clock. This is going to be right around lunchtime. We're going to see some heavier downpours across parts of not only Indianapolis, but also central Ohio. Those of you in Toledo as well will end up seeing this moisture move through. And even in Detroit, you'll likely end up seeing some heavier rain bands move through. We are really concerned about some of these pinks that are going to be popping up in places like downtown Cleveland, as well as just to the south of Columbus, Ohio. Likely in the Chillicothe area, Fairfield County, Lancaster, all will end up seeing some of that moisture move through. And those of you in Louisville will likely end up even seeing some thunderstorms that we could end up seeing some potential hail with this and a whole lot of wind. By 10 o'clock, Pittsburgh, it's going to pretty much be your turn. Erie, Pennsylvania, you'll likely end up getting clipped with this as well. The good news here, Britta, is this is going to be a fast-moving system. In the overnight hours, we're expecting things to dry out across not only Indiana, but also Ohio and into Pittsburgh.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.